This morning I'm out here getting ready to harvest the motherwort, which you can see is already blooming, and this is the time where we cut the top third off to then dry to be able to use in various teas and medicines. And the motherwort is in the mint family. You can see here it grows, it's like a giant version of how you see mint flowers growing, where the two-petaled flowers grow right next to the stem. And the flowers, if you can see them, they look like little open mouths, these little light pink, there we go. So you can see they've got two little petals that open up wide. And when the flowers are set is supposed to be when it's best to harvest it for the leafy part. In the Chinese Materia Medica, the Sheneng Bancaojing, they talk about using the seeds and not the leaves. So there was it's a high upper grade herb to use the seeds for longevity and health, but in current Chinese medicine we use the top third and use the leaves and the flowers. And what's interesting about the top third is that you can see there's a color change in the leaf. So here you can see it's got almost like a little purplish tinge to the tips of the leaves, but as you go down towards the bottom, that's not there at all. So there's probably some kind of compound that's in this upper third that is beneficial. So the Chinese name for this plant is Yimu Cao, which is benefit the mother. Yi is to benefit and Mu is the mother. So benefit the mother grass, or Cao is kind of grasses or leaves. And that's the primary use. It's used a lot in women's health, gynecology, and what's unique about this plant is that it has the property of being acrid or blood invigorating. It's in the blood moving category, but at the same time it's cooling, and so is often given a bitter attribute to its taste because it is cooling, and bitter things are primarily cooling, and that's unusual for a blood mover. Blood movers typically are warming to the blood, so it's unique in that way. And so because of that unique property, it can be used for a lot of different things. In women's health, it's great for clearing the blood clearing blood stasis, and also helping to cool the blood with excess bleeding. And you can use it in combination with other stop bleeding herbs when you have heavy bleeding with accumulations or polyps or masses and things like that. And it's also great for using in dermatology. It's a very commonly used dermatology herb because a lot of dermatological conditions are considered to be like a heat in the blood or blood stasis. You can see it in kind of old chronic eczema, things like that. So blood movers are really great for that, especially cooling blood movers, because it can cool some toxicity and heat that's coming out through the skin and clear it up quickly. So Yimu Cao is used a lot in dermatology and Chinese medicine as well. And yeah, it's a fantastic plant. It's beautiful. The leaves are nice and soft, and they're pretty shapes. Here we go. So yeah, I'm gonna go grab the scissors and dry this. And in Chinese medicine, we use it primarily as a tea. I know Western herbalism, which uses this herb as well, uses more the leaves in a tincture form, that they'll often make tinctures out of it. And what's interesting is it definitely comes from Eurasia as far as the history of it goes. So it was then brought to the West probably through the Silk Road. I think the first documentation in Western herbalism that I read about it was in the 1500s to call it by name, and they also adopted the name motherwort. So whether that's a translation from the Chinese or they realized the same properties themselves, I'm not sure, but they kind of again attributed it to the mother. And it's used a lot in postpartum formulas as well, where you're trying to get rid of blood stasis in the pelvis postpartum. So it's a fabulous herb, and it's pretty. Here it is.